Mary I's belly was swollen. She felt the kicks. Everyone was certain she was about to give birth to the future King of England, saving the Tudor dynasty once and for all. But what was actually growing inside her wasn't a life. It was her own death. Today, we're exposing what exactly was hiding inside Bloody Mary's body and why it remained buried for 500 years. We all know Mary Tudor as the queen who burned hundreds at the stake in the name of religion. But history often misses the most devastating part. Mary's cruelty wasn't just about faith. It was the result of the sickening things people forced her to go through behind closed doors. The constant fear she lived in literally destroyed her body from the inside out. But before becoming a villain, Mary's life was completely different. As the daughter of King Henry VIII, Mary spent the first 17 years of her life as an ideal Renaissance princess, straight out of a fairy tale. She was exceptionally educated, deeply religious, and skilled in many different areas. Everything about her pointed toward a brilliant future. The only thing missing was a powerful prince to marry, and this is where everything begins to darken. For princesses like Mary, marriage was never about love. It was politics in its most ruthless form, something almost unthinkable in Western societies today. Mary was one of the most wanted candidates, competing with other princesses across Europe. Her father constantly negotiated and offered her to powerful European men, some decades older than her, as a potential bride to secure alliances between kingdoms. Although there were many candidates, Mary never fulfilled any of these arrangements because of one person who decided to destroy her world and humiliate her before the entire continent. Mary was the only child of Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon, celebrated as the future Queen of England. But when her mother couldn't produce more heirs, Henry did the impossible. He broke from the Catholic Church, executed his critics, and divorced Catherine, all to marry Anne Boleyn, a woman Mary absolutely despised. Mary was declared illegitimate, stripped of her luxuries, and threatened with execution if she didn't abandon her mother and her faith. Her relationship with Anne only deepened her suffering. Records suggest that Anne was a cruel stepmother to Mary. Even after her father's death, Mary did not find peace. Her brother Edward, 20 years younger than her, became king, and Mary had to hide her religion to avoid a tragic fate. This constant state of terror did more than just break her spirit. It shattered her immune system. The chronic stress made room for a terrible thing to grow inside her abdomen, something that would eventually take her life. It all started when one of the biggest twists in Tudor history occurred, changing Mary's fate forever. Long-term trauma was only part of Mary's suffering. Her real nightmare began when her half-brother, Edward VI, King of England, died suddenly at the age of 15. By law, Mary was next in line to the throne. But there was a problem. Edward had been raised as a committed Protestant. He feared that if Mary inherited the throne, she would restore Catholicism and undo everything their father had built. On his deathbed, Edward signed a secret document to bypass Mary and name his cousin, Lady Jane Grey, as the new queen. Edward's unexpected death was supposed to be Mary's moment of justice, a banished princess, mistreated by everyone, finally rising to power. Now everything was ruined, but Mary refused to accept this. She decided that this would be the last time anyone treated her that way, and she took her fate into her own hands. The rightful queen acted with terrifying speed, fleeing to Framlingham Castle to rally an army. She was not just fighting for a throne, she was fighting for her survival. Her momentum was unstoppable. In just 9 days, Lady Jane Grey's support vanished, the government switched sides, and Mary entered London in triumph. On July 19, 1553, Mary was finally proclaimed queen. Her enemies, including Jane Grey, were arrested and executed. Mary's accession was seen by many as a victory for Tudor legitimacy and tradition. But what seemed like a happy ending for her was far from it. it was actually the beginning of her tragic end. To strengthen her position as queen, Mary had to marry a powerful king and produce an heir to secure the Tudor dynasty. Just when all of Europe thought she'd fulfill those expectations, her pregnancy turned into something absolutely terrifying. Many hoped Mary, as the new queen, would bring stability after religious turmoil under Edward VI. But instead of introducing policy changes, Mary ordered Protestants to be burned at the stake. She believed she was saving the souls of heretics in her desperate attempts to restore Catholicism. However, the heavy backlash and rebellions were nothing compared to the personal battle she was fighting behind the scenes. Throughout her life, Mary suffered from a long list of illnesses, all contributing to her eventual breakdown. She experienced poor vision, constant fevers, and persistent headaches. But her biggest political disaster was her irregular menstrual cycle. In the Tudor era, a queen's only value was her fertility. If she didn't produce an heir, her religious revolution and dynasty would die with her. But Mary was 37 years old, considered dangerously old for marriage and childbirth in the 1500s. She desperately needed a strong political ally to marry. Many opposed her chosen match, fearing that the country would fall under Spanish control, leading to rebellion against the marriage. He was the son of Charles V, Holy Roman Emperor, one of the most powerful rulers in Europe. He was also Catholic, aligning with Mary's religious goals. His name was Philip II of Spain. They married very quickly. But what seemed like a victory turned into another huge disappointment. Mary appeared to care deeply for Philip. She was devoted and eager to please him. Philip, on the other hand, was distant. He treated the marriage as a duty. He was polite, but not affectionate, and spent much of his time away from England. Despite limited opportunities, Mary and Philip actively tried to produce an heir to the throne, one that would unite two kingdoms. The future of the Tudor dynasty depended entirely on this pregnancy. Then, one day, a miracle happened. Mary's period stopped, her abdomen grew, and morning sickness set in. Her doctors made the official announcement. The Queen was expecting. The entire court prepared for the birth. But in reality, this was not a child, but another tragedy in Mary's life. This time it was the final straw. This was the first of two supposed pregnancies Mary experienced in her lifetime. Unlike the second, it did not end in tragedy, but in humiliation. All of Europe was watching. Imagine the future of an entire continent resting on a single heartbeat. Mary and Philip were on the verge of uniting England with the Habsburg Empire, a move that would have created a massive Catholic power bloc and changed the map of the world forever. Rivals were terrified, and allies were holding their breath, waiting for an heir that would cement this new world order. But as the months passed, no child arrived. At court, the situation became an impossible mystery. While no one dared to question the Queen, the reality was becoming harder to ignore every day. It was treated as a medical mystery that we can explain only now, 500 years later. Mary deeply wanted a child. For her, this wasn't just a failure on the world stage. It was a heartbreaking emotional collapse. Most modern historians and medical experts believe her first pregnancy was something called a phantom pregnancy. This rare condition occurs when an intense, desperate desire for a child actually hijacks the brain, releasing hormones that force the body to mimic real pregnancy symptoms, even when there is no baby. But as tragic as this first chapter was, Mary's story ends with a second pregnancy that was far more brutal. In late 1557, Mary made a shocking announcement. She was pregnant again, but this time no one believed her, not even her husband, Philip. She showed all the signs: a swollen abdomen, weight gain, and the absence of menstruation. But as the months passed with no baby, the horrific truth emerged. Her doctors eventually realized that she was not pregnant, but dying. Mary wrote to Philip, expressing how deeply she missed him, but he never returned to support her. As her condition worsened, Mary went blind. At just 42 years old, she looked decades older, appearing pale, thin, and broken. High fevers and extreme pain took over. She would spend entire days curled up on the floor, weeping and refusing to speak. Nothing is confirmed, but modern doctors now believe a rare and terrifying cancer was growing inside her. Some suggest it was uterine or ovarian cancer, but there is one theory that is far more disturbing. Mary may have had a teratoma. This is an unusual tumor that can grow its own hair, skin, teeth, and even eyes. On November 17, 1558, Mary finally died, and her Protestant sister Elizabeth took the throne. But as tragic as Mary's end was, it was nothing compared to the death of her father, Henry VIII. His body was literally rotting while he was still alive. Watch the next video to learn more.